Nicolas Bercourt. I guess we will speak English because of the international jury. So you will, please, can you explain and present us our main results on the techniques of your thesis entitled Persistence on Shift from Theory to Applications. You have about 45 or 50 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shapira. So, dear members of the jury, dear colleagues, dear friends, so it's my great pleasure to present you the result of my PhD today. So it was made under the supervision of Steve Udo, and it's entitled Persistence and Sheaves from Theory to Applications. So I will first start by a quick overview of TDA and persistence, and then I will try to give some reason for why we would like to maybe draw shift theory, shift theory as a theoretical foundations for TDA. Then I will present three of my main results that were made in collaboration with Grégory Ginaud, Steve Udo, and François Petit. So the first one is a derived isometry derived isometry theorem for constructible sheaves on R. The second one is about drawing links between sheaves over R and level set persistence. And the last one is about considering that the observable category of persistence module is nothing but the category of gamma sheaves. So first, I will give a very gentle introduction to the motivation of TDA. So TDA stands for Topological Data Analysis, and its main aim is to develop computational methods to estimate topological quantities of data sets. So, for instance, homology groups. So let me give a very silly motivating example. So for instance, imagine that you have a nice subspace of RD, so for instance, a sufficiently regular submanifold, but you can only observe a finite sample of it, so Y tilde. So two questions arose. So how reasonably can we estimate the homology of Y from the knowledge of Y tilde? And then, if you come from just an algebraic topology background, you could just ask, what does it even mean to estimate the homology of a space? So let's imagine that our space Y is this circle, and that Y tilde is just the subset of blue points on Y. Okay. And so a first ID, so this finite set doesn't have any topology, and so a first ID from TDA to create topology from this finite set is to grow balls around each point. Okay, so I will choose a parameter epsilon, a positive real parameter, and I will consider Y tilde epsilon to be the union of balls of radius epsilon around each point. So here you can see, if it works, here you can see the set Y tilde epsilon of each balls around each point. And here we see that I have been lucky in this situation because I can actually recover the homology of my space Y from this union of balls. Okay, but as I was saying, I have been lucky because I have picked a good value of epsilon, and now a question is, how do we choose epsilon? Because, for instance, you could imagine that you have some some finite subsets that have different topology at different scales. For instance, for this finite subset, you can see at a small scale, you can see several copies of B shapes, but at a, let's say, medium scale, you would see one A shape, and at big scale, you would only see one connected component. So the answer that the TDA community has found is actually not to choose. So we will look at all the value of epsilon at all scale, and we'll observe that actually the Y tilde epsilon are an increasing sequence of topological space, meaning that when we apply the singular homology functor with coefficient in a field, we actually get a linear system of K-vector spaces. So this is exactly what motivates the foundational definition of persistence, which is the one of a persistence module. So in all the talk now, I will only work with a K being a field, okay? And a persistence module over R is just a poset from the, just a functor from the poset category R to the category of K-vector spaces, okay? And we equip this category with natural transformations. So the main construction of TDA now is given by considering a real valued function on a topological space. I will define the I sublevel set persistence module associated to F to be the persistence module that at each real value record the homology of the sublevel set of the pre-image of the sublevel set at the value S by F. Okay? And so now we see that this construction is actually very general because, for instance, it can recover the previous example of the growing balls by considering F to be the distance to while tilde. So there is a very nice decomposition result by Crowley-Beauvais that was proved in 2012 that states that if I have a persistence module that is pointwise finite dimensional, it decomposes uniquely as a direct sum of persistence modules which are constant over an interval. Okay? So here we see that the collection of intervals that appear in this decomposition entirely characterize M up to isomorphism. So we will call this multiset the barcode of M, and this is a complete discrete invariant of my persistence module. Okay? So now maybe I have been slightly too optimistic because I assumed that while tilde was perfectly sampled on my space Y, but in real life application it might look like this, like the red subset. Okay, and here we see that, for instance, if I again do the growing balls construction, and if the noise is not too large, then I can again recover the topology of the circle. Okay, I will see that it still looks the same. So how can we make this statement precise? And the other question underlying this question is how to understand the stability properties of the mapping that associates to F its sublevel set persistence module. So this is exactly the reason that motivated the introduction of the notion of interleavings and of the interleaving distance by Chazal and co-authors in 2009. So basically, an epsilon interleaving between two persistence modules must be thought as an approximation, an approximate isomorphism. Okay, and we define so an epsilon interleaving between M and M to be the data of two morphisms, one from M to N shifted by epsilon, the other one from N to M shifted by epsilon, such that they commute, but they commute up to the 2 epsilon smoothing morphism between M and 2 epsilon and N and 2 epsilon. Okay, and I will use the wave notation to write that M and M are epsilon interleaved. So now from this we can define the interleaving distance between M and M. So the interleaving distance between M and M is just the infimum values of epsilon such that M and M are epsilon interleaved. Okay, and there is a nice property that this indeed behaves like a distance. Okay, as it satisfies the triangle inequality. So now again there is a very foundational result by Chazal and co-author that stands that basically the interleaving distance is a consistent choice of measuring distances between persistence module as it allows to understand the stability property of the operation taking sublevel set persistence of a function. So more precisely, if we have two functions on a space X that are real valued, then from the stability theorem, I know that the interleaving distance between their associated sublevel set persistence module cannot be greater than the subnorm between my two functions. Okay, so here if we try to understand what does it mean with our previous example, where we add the distance to the ground truth and the distance to the noisy truth, the subnorm here would actually be exactly the Hausdorff size of the noise. So this means that this is exactly what I was looking for. I can control the distance between my persistence module by the size of the noise in the data. So now all the theory works really well, but we are trying to do topological data analysis. So an important question is to know, can we compute actually this interleaving distance? So the answer is yes, and to do so actually we need to express it as a matching distance between the barcodes of the persistence module. So now I will introduce the definition of a matching, okay, of a epsilon matching between two barcodes. So if you have two barcodes, so two locally finite family of intervals of R, an epsilon matching between B1 and B2 is nothing but a partial bijection between the element of B1 and B2. Any two matched interval must be such that the interleaving distance between the associated persistence module is bounded by epsilon. And any unmatched interval must be such that the interleaving distance between ki with 0 is 0. So again, we can define the bottleneck distance between B1 and B2 as the infimum of epsilon, such that there exists an epsilon matching between B1 and B2. And this also satisfies the triangle inequality. So now there is a very, again, foundational theorem for TDA, which was first proved by Lesnik in 2011 and is called the isometry theorem, which basically says that if I have two pointwise finite dimensional persistence module M and M, then I can compute the interleaving distance between M and M as the bottleneck distance between B of M and B of N. Okay, so it means that this interleaving distance that was purely algebraic can actually be computed as a combinatorial distance between the combinatorial descriptors of my persistence module. So as a consequences, we see that all of this theory, the theory of one parameter persistence, can be handled by a computer and handled in such a manner that we can perform machine learning tasks with it. Nevertheless, the world is not so beautiful, and it's not very difficult to raise limitation of one parameter persistence. Here I give you a very simple example of two functions on a space X that have the same persistence module, but that are at subnorm distance 1. Okay, so the example is you start with an X shape in R2, okay, and the first function is defined as the second coordinate projection, and the second function is defined as so the second coordinate projection, except on the red part where it is worth 0. Okay, and those two functions have subnorm distance 1, sorry, but have the same persistence, the same 0 sublevel set persistence module. So now we see that in order to further TDA techniques, we need to seek for richer, stable topological invariant of data sets. Okay, and so one direction of research, for instance, so would be level set persistence that I will explain later, or doing persistence on higher dimensional posets. And this is known as multi-parameter persistence, and it is shown to have a very complicated algebraic structure. And maybe so another direction of research would be to tackle this problem with a new type of techniques, namely shift theory, which is a very developed and powerful language to do algebraic topology. So the challenge, if we want to do so, is that we will need to have a notion of measuring distance for sheaves, and why not a kind of interleaving distance for sheaves. And also we need to assure that everything that we are doing can actually be put in a computer. Okay? And this is really not something obvious when working with sheaves. And so in this work, this is what I will try to do actually, to draw explicit connections between shift theory and persistence, with the hope to enjoy best of both worlds. So that is the computer friendliness of persistence and the deepness, the theoretical deepness of shift theory. So first, let me give some very quick scientific context for this work. So the story of TDA and sheaves all started with the Justin Curry thesis that was called Sheaf co-sheaf and application. In particular, it's in this thesis that for the first time someone tried to put distance on sheaves. Okay, and then there is this article by Masaki Kashiwara and Pierre Shapira, Persistent Homology and Microlocal Sheaf Theory, in which the authors developed the notion of convolution distance between sheaves. And this is actually the theoretical context that I have worked with and that I will explain now. So to define the convolution distance, obviously we need to define convolution for sheaves. Okay. So the theoretical setting is that we work with a finite dimensional real vector space V equipped with a norm. And we define the addition map, we will denote it S on the vector space. And we will denote by dB of KV the bounded derived category of sheaves of K vector space on V. So if we consider two sheaves on the derived category of V, their convolution is defined as the derived push forward with compact support of the external product of F and G. And this is again an object of the derived category of sheaves on V. So the convolution is a commutative unitary monoidal bifunctor, which roughly speaking means that it behaves like a tensor product. So now we will not be interested in taking the convolution with any sheaf. We will restrict our attention to taking convolution with a particular family of sheaves that we will call K epsilon. And now if you come from the persistence world, what you should have in mind is that taking convolution with K epsilon will play the role in this setting of the epsilon shift for persistence module. So given epsilon a real number, we will define K epsilon to be the constant shift on the closed ball of radius epsilon if epsilon is positive, and the constant shift on the open ball of radius minus epsilon shifted by the dimension of V if epsilon is strictly negative. So now we have some properties of this sheaf that basically express that it's a good candidate to play the role of a shift functor for sheaves. Okay, so if you have so basically taking convolution with K epsilon and then taking convolution with K epsilon prime is the same thing as taking convolution with K epsilon plus epsilon prime. Taking convolution with K0 is isomorphic to the identity. And then if you have epsilon prime greater or equal than epsilon, we have a canonical morphism from f K epsilon prime to f K epsilon. If we specialize this to epsilon equals 0, we get a canonical morphism that we call the epsilon prime smoothing morphism of f from f K epsilon prime to f. So here also something that differs from the persistence theory is that the arrows goes in the reverse direction, and this is because fundamentally shift theory is a contravariant theory. Okay, so now that we have the shift functor and the epsilon smoothing functor, we can define a notion of interleaving for sheaves. Okay, and so we will say that f and g are epsilon interleaved if we have again two morphisms, one from j k epsilon to f and another one from f k epsilon to g, such that they commute up to the 2 epsilon smoothing morphism. And now there is this definition, so all of this material was developed by Kashiwara and Shapira, and Kashiwara and Shapira define the convolution distance between f and g to be the infimum of epsilon, such that f and g are epsilon interleaved. So now, again, Kashiwara and Shapira proved that this is indeed an extended pseudometric on the derived category of sheaves on V. And also, this is, again, we have a stability theorem, a kind of stability theorem in this context, in the form that if I take one sheaf on a topological space X and I push it forward to R through two different functions, then the convolution distance can never be greater than the subnorm between those two functions. So you see here that we have all the main ingredients to develop a kind of persistence theory for sheaves. Okay, and the analogy with persistence even go further, because here I have worked on any finite dimensional vector space, and now if I restrict my attention to a one-dimensional vector space, and if I assume that that a sheaf here is constructible, so not a derived sheaf here, really a real sheaf, then there is this theorem that takes its roots in Gabriel's theorem that was then proved in the compact case by Guillermo and then extended in the general case by Kashiwara and Shapira, that any constructible sheaf on R decomposes uniquely as a direct sum of sheaf constant on an interval. Okay, so here in particular, as between all of these indecomposable objects all the X groups, the X objects higher than 1 are worth 0, we get a very nice structure theorem for the bounded derived category of constructible sheaves. Okay, namely, we have that if we have a sheaf now in the derived category with a constructible cohomology object, then it is isomorphic to its graded cohomology object. Okay, so here as any cohomology object is a constructible sheaf, it admits a barcode, and it leads us with Gregori-Gino to define the graded barcode of a sheaf as the collection of the barcode of each of its cohomology objects. And here something very important to be mentioned is that so this graded barcode entirely characterizes a sheaf up to isomorphism in the derived category. Okay, so now that we have a notion of distance for sheaf on R, a notion of barcode for sheaves on R, a natural question is whether there exists an isometry theorem. So can we compute the convolution distance between two constructible sheaves as a kind of matching distance between their barcodes? And so this is the question we tried to answer with Gregori-Gino. And actually the answer is positive. So first I will give you an example to get a bit of intuition, and then I will explain you the results. So this example was brought to me by Justin Curry, so thank you. And so it is basically considering so two functions from the circle to R. Okay, the first one is the first coordinate projection, and the second one is just the constant map with a value 0. Okay, and we will push forward the constant sheaf on S1 by those two functions. And here you can see drawn the graded barcodes of those two sheaves. Okay, so for F we see that in degree 0 we have one closed bar and one open bar and nothing in degree 1. And for G we have 1 point centered at 0 in degree 0 and 1 point centered at 0 in degree 1. So now from the stability property of the convolution distance, since the subnorm between F and G is worth 1, we know that the convolution distance between those two sheaves is bounded by 1. So one question is, can we find a 1 matching between those two barcodes? So if you come from persistence, maybe you'd be tempted to say, okay, I will match the closed bar to the point, then the open bar to nothing, and then the point in degree 1 to nothing. But this is absolutely not possible in this setting, since, for instance, a skyscraper sheaf is at infinite distance of the 0 sheaf in this setting. So what we must actually do, and the admissible matching that exists, is to match the closed bar with the point in degree 0, and then the open bar with the 1 point in degree 1. And so if we allow those matchings, okay, then we will see that the isometry theorem becomes true. So first, it is completely coherent with the standard computation of the convolution distance to allow to match open bars to closed bar across 1 degree. Okay, and so now we will define an epsilon graded matching between two graded barcodes as a partial bijection between those two graded barcodes, such that so any graded interval are such that the associated sheaves are at a convolution distance at most epsilon, and any not matched interval is at distance at most epsilon to 0. So here from this definition you could think that a graded matching could match intervals across any degree, but in fact when you do the computations of convolution distance, you see that the only case where an interval can cross a degree is when we have the situation of one open bar in degree I with one closed bar in degree I plus 1. So then with Gregory we define the graded bottleneck distance between graded barcodes to be the infimum of epsilon graded matching between B1 and B2, epsilon of epsilon such that there exists a graded matching. And then we proved that the isometry theorem is true in this setting, meaning that if I have two sheaves F and G that are constructible on R, then their convolution distance is actually equal to the bottleneck distance between their graded barcode. Okay, so this result has some interesting corollaries. For instance, it allows to prove that the convolution distance between constructible sheaves is closed, meaning that if the convolution distance between f and g is worth epsilon, then there exists an epsilon interleaving between f and g, which is not obvious from the definition of the convolution distance since it is an infimum. Also, something else to be mentioned is that this proves that if I know how to compute the graded barcode of a sheaf, then I can compute the convolution distance between two sheaves. And this leads me to this question. This result seems interesting because it gives a way to compute the convolution distance, but we need also to know how to compute graded barcodes from a computational point of view. And this is actually what we managed to, not to do, but to give a way to do it with Steve and Gregory by carefully studying the links between sheaves over R with level set persistence. So first, let me give you a very quick introduction to level set persistence. So level set persistence, so first I need to define a poset, so the poset delta plus of couples of reals such that the sum of the two coordinates is strictly positive. So we undo it with the product order. And now, given a function f from x a topological space to R, I define its ith level set persistence module to be the functor from the poset delta plus to the k vector spaces, defined as, so Li of f at the point xy is nothing but the homology, the singular ith homology of the pre-image by f of the interval minus x, y. So now something that we must be aware of is that such persistence module, so persistence module that comes from level set persistence module are not any functor from delta plus to mod k, okay? Because of the Mayer-Vietoris long exact sequence, they actually carry a lot of extra structure, okay, that I will explain here. So in particular, so given a shift direction, so a shift vector, so by this I mean a vector with a vector of R2 with strictly positive coordinates, and given a homology degree in Z, I have a connection morphism from Li of f shifted by S to Li minus 1 of f. And so this connection morphism fits in a long exact the long exact sequence of persistence module that I have written just here. Okay, and so this long exact sequence can seem maybe a bit scary at first, but really when you write down what it means, it is nothing but the expression of the Mayer-Vietoris long exact sequence. Okay, and so this leads us with Gregory and Steve to define a Mayer-Vietoris system to be a collection of persistence module over delta plus equipped with connection morphisms such that this long sequence is always exact. Okay. Also, so we define morphism between Mayer-Vietoris systems to be morphism degree by degree that commutes to the connection morphisms. So in particular, you see that if I consider a Mayer-Vietoris system, then all of the Mj are middle exact, meaning that they satisfy that this, I'll try to use the mouse, that this sequence, this central sequence without the connection morphism is exact. And so this was a property that was studied in detail by Steve Udo, Jérémy Cauchois, and then by Magnus Botnan and Bill Crowley-Beauvais. And they proved the barcode decomposition result. So if I have a middle exact pointwise finite dimensional persistence module over delta plus, then it decomposes uniquely as a direct sum of block modules, so modules that are constant on blocks. And here you have a description of blocks So blocks can be, so I will call this an upper quadrant, okay? This is a bend block, and this can be either vertical or horizontal. And here you have an upper quadrant that does not intersect the diagonal. Sorry. And this is a down quadrant, right? And you see that in particular, if I have an upper quadrant that does not intersect the diagonal, then I can associate to it its dual desk quadrant, which is just the symmetric with respect to the minimum. Okay? And this will be an important notion for later. Okay, so now we see that we have a decomposition. So given a persistence, a Mayer-Vietoris system, we have a decomposition at each degree, but we don't know how this decomposition extends at the level of the Mayer-Vietoris system category. And so with, again, Gregory and Steve, we managed to prove that this, with some finiteness assumption, this decomposition actually extends in the category of Mayer-Vietoris systems. And the indecomposable, so we have that any Mayer-Vietoris system which is bounded from below and pointwise finite dimensional decomposes as a direct sum of block Mayer-Vietoris systems. And those blocks, so there is one type of block which is always concentrated in only 1 degree. So this is when the support is either an upper quadrant that intersects the diagonal or a bend quadrant. And then there is a very interesting case where if the support is an upper quadrant that does not intersect the diagonal, then it must come with its dual down quadrant in 1 degree below. And so we see that here, the fact that we have indecomposable object that lives in 2 degrees gives to this category a kind of derived behavior, and this is exactly this behavior that then we will use to construct functors that behaves gently from this category to the category of sheaves overall. So now, so in the same article, we construct 2 functors. So one from, sorry, from a strongly pointwise finite dimensional Mayer-Vietoris system to the opposite category of sheaves overall. Sorry, I'm just gonna drink some water because I'm dry. Okay, so we have 2 functors. One from Mayer-Vietoris system with a finiteness property to constructible sheaves of on R opposite, okay, because one theory is contravariant and the other one is not. And then another functor in the other directions. And those 2 functors satisfy that they are isometric, okay, and also they induce bijection between the barcodes of a persistence module to the barcode of the graded barcode of a sheaf, which is an isometry for the associated bottleneck distance. Okay, so this means basically that if I have a sheaf, I can compute its barcode from the associated level set persistence. From the associated Mayer-Vietoris system by this functor. And now we also managed to prove another result, which is that under some assumption on a function u from x to r, so if x is gentle enough, and if the push forward of the constant sheaf by u is constructible, then those functors actually exchange level set persistence with derived push forward of the constant sheaf. Okay, so put together, those results show that we can compute the graded barcode of a direct image of the constant sheaf from the knowledge of level set persistence by this function. And this is a good news because software for this already exists. So for instance, there is some unreleased code in Goody by Clément Maria, or there is Dionysus by Dmitry Morozov. And also, ultimately, this gives a deeper interpretation of the level set persistence barcode as a sheaf barcode. Okay, so now all my attention was focused on working on a one-dimensional vector space. Now I will try to explain some progress that we made with François by drawing links between persistence module over higher dimensional POSET and sheaf theory. So to do so, we must start by expressing sheaves, persistence module as sheaves. And to do so, we need to introduce the Alexandrov topology on a POSET. So the Alexandrov topology on a POSET is just the topology which is generated by the downset of this POSET, and this indeed form a topology. So I will use this notation, so PA, to denote the topological space associated to the Alexandrov topology on a POSET P. And so one proposition that was in Justin Curry thesis and also in Kashiwara and Shapira paper is that there is an equivalence of abelian categories between persistence module over P and sheaves on the Alexandrov topology on the opposite POSET. Okay, so this allows really to consider that persistence module are nothing but sheaves on the Alexandrov topology. So I also need to introduce another topology, which is called the gamma topology. So given, so we equip Rn with the standard topology, and given gamma a closed convex proper cone which has non-empty interior, I will say that a subset U in Rn is gamma open if it is open for the usual topology and it is stable by addition by element of the cone. So I denote Rn gamma, the topological space, Rn equipped with the gamma topology. And here, one thing to observe is that the gamma topology is a subtopology of the usual topology in Rn. So it means in particular that the identity map that I will write here, phi gamma, is continuous. Okay. And now a theorem by Kashiwara and Shapira is that so the operation phi gamma inverse is actually fully faithful. So it shows that the category of gamma sheaves is nothing but a full subcategory of the derived category of sheaves for the usual topology. And there is also a way to identify if a sheaf is in the essential image of this functor by just looking at its micro supports. Okay. So now I will explain the work that was done by Chazal and Crowley-Beauvais about ephemeral persistence module. So here the idea is, okay, we have all the theory of persistence, but maybe what is the thing that we can measure given the interleaving distance on the category of persistence module? Because, for instance, it's very easy to find some persistence module that are not zero, but which are at distance 0 from 0. So for instance, just look at the persistence module, which is just k on the point 0 and then 0 elsewhere. It will be at distance 0 from 0, but it's not 0. So the author defined the notion of ephemeral persistence module, which are the persistence modules such that all of the internal transition map are worth 0. So there is a metric characterization of ephemeral persistence module. So they are the persistence module which are at interleaving distance 0 from 0. Okay, and then the authors form the quotient category of persistence module by ephemeral persistence module. Okay, and they call this category the observable category of persistence module. And in particular, they prove that the interleaving distance in this category becomes a true metric. Okay. Okay, so now let me introduce a morphism of site between the derived category. Between the gamma, the site Rn equipped with the gamma topology to the site Rn Alexandrov opposite. Okay. And so basically this morphism of site is nothing but forgetting the boundary of the cone. Okay? And so with François Petit, we proved that the induced direct image functor is actually fully faithful. Okay, so this functor goes from the gamma sheaves to the derived category of persistence module. And so since we always have an adjunction alpha inverse and R alpha star, it exhibits, so we are in the situation of a reflective localization, and it exhibits the derived category of gamma sheaf as the Verdier quotient of triangulated category of the derived category of persistence module with the kernel of alpha inverse. Okay, so then we studied what are the properties of the persistence module in this kernel, and we proved that a persistence module is in this kernel if and only if it is at interleaving distance 0 from the 0 module. Okay, so this leads us to define an ephemeral persistence module on Rn to be just an object of the kernel of this category, of the kernel of this functor. Sorry. So in the case where n equals 1, we actually recover the definition of Chazal and co-authors. And also it has, so it is Ezra Miller that mentioned it to me, but it has also the property of being ephemeral as a nice expression in terms of upper boundary functor that was defined in Ezra Miller's work. And so here, this means that actually we can interpret the category of gamma sheaves as the observable category of persistence module. So now I just talked about categories, okay? But what is important for what we are doing in topological data analysis is the notion of metric. And we also managed to prove some isometry theorems. So first, I will just mention that so we can define an interleaving distance on gamma sheaves. I will denote it di gamma. So given a cone also on Rn, it induces a certain norm that I will consider now, and I will take the convolution distance with respect to this norm. So I will denote it dc gamma. And also, I will say that a gamma sheaf is gamma proper if the addition map restricted to the support times the cone to Rn is proper for the Euclidean topology. And now, so with François, we proved that the functor alpha inverse is isometric, so it preserves the interleaving distance. And also, we managed to prove that given two gamma proper sheaf, the interleaving distance, so in the category of gamma sheaves between two sheaves, is actually equals to the convolution distance between phi gamma inverse of those two sheaves. Okay, so recall that phi gamma inverse goes to the category of sheaves for the usual topology. Okay. So now, if I quickly sum up the result of this part, we basically have formed a diagram of a functor, and we prove that they are all the two of them are isometric. Okay. So the second one is isometric just between gamma proper sheaves, but still it's interesting. And so why is all of this construction interesting? So basically we started with sheaves on the Alexandrov site of Rn, which is a site that has very few morphisms. Okay, so it's really hard to use operations, Grothendieck operations on it. We can do very few transformation in this setting. And we basically managed to embed it isometrically in the category of sheaves on Rn with the convolution distance, on which basically we can use a lot, like any continuous function between Rn and a vector space will be a morphism of site. So we have a wider range of Grothendieck operation to transform a persistence module. So now let me quickly recall the main step of the presentation and give a quick overview of future work. So we started to prove a derived isometry theorem for sheaves, ensuring that we can compute the convolution distance as a matching distance. And then we proved that we can actually compute the graded barcode of a sheaf from the knowledge of level set persistence, for which there exists software. So I hope that this will give a new theoretical paradigm for level set persistence. So to the best of my knowledge, level set persistence is not very used for machine learning application, whereas it is strictly more informative than sub-level set persistence, and it has, roughly speaking, the same theoretical properties. And also, maybe that our result about Mayer-Vittori system might be of independent interest for the mathematical domain where persistence is used, so such as symplectic topology. Also, we have proved that the theory of multi-persistence can be isometrically embedded in the theory of sheaves over Rn with the convolution distance. And so it is interesting because in this setting we have access to a wider range of Grothendieck operation, and this could have important consequences to develop dimension reduction techniques for a multi-persistence module. And thank you for your attention.